Senator Spearman.
Thank you, Mr. President. Senate Joint Resolution 2 is before us today for passage. In recent days, the legislation has been categorized by misinformation and false innuendos. The Equal Rights Amendment, or the ERA, is about equality for all citizens and placing that guarantee in our Constitution. Nothing more. It is not a law to allow people to marry the Eiffel Tower. It is not a law to allow bestiality. It is not a law for surgical intrusion into a woman's reproductive anatomy. It is not a law that allows unfettered abortions. It is not a law that negates Social Security benefits for spouses. It is not a law that prevents men from opening doors for women. It is not a law that forces women into combat. As a matter of fact, the asymmetric battlefield, by definition, already includes women in combat. Women drove fuel trucks in Iraq and Afghanistan. Women worked in administrative roles in the Green Zone in Iraq and Afghanistan. Women were medics, military police, logisticians, and in every field within the military service. The objections to ratifying the ERA are false, disingenuous, and misleading. As such, opposition to passage creates a default position yielding to the antiquated notion of misogynistic patriarchy, the erroneous illusion that men are superior and women are inferior. As such, this line of social and cultural demagoguery is admirable for its asininity alone. Mr. President, this is what ratifying the ERA will do. In the words of Supreme Court Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg, who wrote in the Harvard Women's Law Journal, and I quote, "With the Equal Rights Amendment, we may expect Congress and the state legislatures to undertake in earnest, systematically and pervasively, the law revision so long deferred. And in the event of legislative default, the courts will have an unassailable basis for applying the bedrock principle: all men and women are created equal," end quote. The Equal Rights Amendment is about equality, period. We have delayed passage long enough. Now is the time to show the country and the global neighborhood we, as Nevadans, lead when it comes to equality for all. At every decision point in history, the quest for equality has met with stiff and recalcitrant opposition. Equal justice has never been given. During antebellum times, abolitionists persisted to end the heinous practice of slavery. In the early 1900s, women suffragettes persisted to gain the right to vote. Negroes in the South persisted to end Jim Crow. African Americans persisted to get the 1964 Civil Rights Act passed. Cesar Chavez and migrant workers persisted to improve working conditions in the agricultural fields. Vietnam veterans persisted to get the health care recognition of their service and appreciation for their sacrifice. Members of the LGBTQ community persisted to gain marriage equality. Women all over this country persisted for the right to get credit in their name, to buy property in their name, work and be promoted on merit in the corporate world. Hillary Rodham Clinton persisted to put more than 60 million cracks in the political glass ceiling. Yes, Mr. President, persistence, faith, and hope fuel the indomitable spirit of this movement. Today, at this hour, and at this moment in history, this legislation to ratify the Equal Rights Amendment is before us for consideration because millions of women, men, boys, and girls have persisted. We have an obligation, yes, even a moral responsibility, to honor the sacrifices of our mothers, grandmothers, and all of our foreparents. We must commit to the preservation of justice and equality for our posterity. Pass this resolution. Galatians 6:9 says, "Be not weary in well-doing. You will reap the harvest if you do not faint." Mr. President, we got tired, but we did not faint. We became weary, but we did not faint. We were vilified, ostracized, and criticized, but we did not faint. I encourage my colleagues to support and to pass this legislation. We persist in the name of all that is good. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Senator Spearman.